building a sustainable winner, you need guys that actually want to be here. Despite everything that Miles Bridges has done, the one thing he has been rock solid consistent on is that he wants to be here. He wants to build something here. If that's the case, those are kind of guys you kind of need. Grant Williams, who is hurt, you kind of need.
Yeah.
But the guys like Cody Martin, Josh Okogie, who has been acquired 2 weeks ago, been a really stalwart guy, is probably their best perimeter defender. You might want to keep him, but also there's going to be a market for him. Cody Martin, Seth Curry, Vasa Micic, who might be your starting point guard for the next 3 weeks because of the LaMelo injury. Those guys are going to be in demand because they are very cheap, and at the same point, they are also expiring contracts. So this becomes a lot of different, there's going to be a lot of moving parts in the next 10 days. All
right, we're going to get to the last night's Duke State game in a second, but you described Miles Bridges. To me, he's the anti-Jimmy Butler. So what's what is the end game here? Because I understand we know what Jimmy Butler is when he's locked in, but he is almost behaving his way out of anybody believing that unless situation is perfect, that he'll be locked in. He's certainly damaging what you're going to give up for him, no?
No, he's absolutely damaged what you're going to give up for him. But at this point, Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler are playing a game of mutually assured destruction. Both sides are not going to be happy. Both sides need to be away from each other. This is where personally, where I'm Mickey Arison, I would be like, hey, let's just have a break. Let's get somebody other than Pat on this. Pat, go do something else. Go find something else to do. Let everybody else handle this, because this feels like a game of chicken. And to be quite honest, to quote Point Break Patrick Swayze, this time we both lose. That's basically guaranteed. And when Jimmy Butler ends up not in Phoenix, but maybe even Golden State, who knows? This is going to end up just not benefiting anybody at the end of the day.
All right, let me get to last night's basketball game. I've been on the record as saying this about Duke. They're going to win every game in the league unless they don't want to. It did appear for a good, and I believe that. If they play anything resembling their best game, I don't think there's any team in the league, even away at Clemson, that stays within double digits. I really do. But last night they were not interested, for the most part, in playing their best game, anything close to it. State brought a fight to the game that Duke was not prepared to also bring, until late in the first half, early in the second half. And the Wolfpack shot the eyes out of them. All the shots that they weren't making for 2.5 months, they decided to make last night. So that the perfect storm. I don't think State's an NCAA tournament team by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm kind of torn. I was proud of the way State played, but also mad that we hadn't seen stuff like that before. But, I mean, Duke has Cooper Flagg, and that's enough.
Well, Duke has 3 lottery picks on this roster. And Duke quite literally sleptwalked through, I want to say, at least 66% of the first half.
Yeah.
And they still ended up winning this game. I will give NC State this. They came into Cameron with the concept of, we are going to punk these dudes in their own home, and we're going to see what happens. And for the first 66% of that first half, it worked.
Yeah.
And then John Shire, who is very much like Kay, and we don't give him enough credit for it, was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to ratchet up this defense. We're going to let Cooper be Cooper, and let Cooper be Cooper late. And that's the one thing I do appreciate about this Duke team, is that Cooper will start this, and I'll start facilitating for everybody. You saw Con Knipple go off not necessarily go off, but start feeling good about himself in that first half, especially post Boston College game. Then you start seeing Cooper take over. And it's kind of the same way that the Wake game played out, where just Cooper started doing superstar stuff, man. He's the number 1 pick in the draft for a reason. He is that special. Do not take for granted what this 1 year can be for Cooper Flagg, because that's what I took away from it. NC State tried to challenge him as a man, and he not only passed the test, he probably aced the test in this one.
Oh, he was great. And what I appreciated from Duke, I didn't like their offense last night. I thought, and you go back and you look at Duke's best offensive performances, assists to field goal made is not 1 for 1, obviously. Nobody's ever that. But it's probably 0.75 for 1. And last night was basically the opposite of that. It was a lot of one-on-one, a lot of ISO ball, which it kept them in the game, and they just decided, well, we're going to let Cooper Flagg win this for us, and everything was downhill. Duke got to the free throw line a ton in the second half. They only attempted 4 3-pointers in the second half after 16 in the first half, so I appreciated the philosophical change from John Shire, and their defense in spurts. First 6 minutes of the half was great, and then when State narrowed that gap to at 1 point, Duke would put together like 3 possessions of zone, and State really didn't hit one good possession against the zone where they got an interior layup. But other than that, it was a turnover or a shot clock violation, which is also a turnover according to the stats. So I thought that the Duke zone, I guess, really kind of threw State for a loop.
Well, the thing with Duke's zone is you got to remember they're probably the biggest team in the country.
Yeah, they are
in terms of 1 to 5. So that it's not your typical college zone where you're going to get your 5'11", 6'1" guard
right
at the top. No, they're 6'3", 6'4". That is a legitimate NBA front court. And Adam, I would go even further to say this: they're the best defense in the country.
Yeah.
Like, they offer something that no other team really can offer in the league, maybe outside of Knoxville. And even then, they don't have the issues that Tennessee does right now. That's the best defensive team in the league. And I would even go further to say, when you start looking at the net, like their overall net rating, it compares to last year's UConn team. This team is that good. And that's why, for me, that's why they're my favorite to win it all right now, despite Auburn being an absolute machine.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that rematch on a neutral floor in San Antonio. But Duke is really that good. They played a D-plus game, we could both admit, for most of that game, and they still beat a bad State team going away. That's how good they are. And let's be real, they were focused more on Saturday. And if you're Carolina right now, you can't feel good about them being focused on you and them still handling business, especially with the issues of the Tar Heels right now.
Yeah, I don't know how UNC is going to keep Duke off the glass. Duke got 15 of 35 available rebounds on their offensive end. To me, that's the biggest weakness in North Carolina is their inability to rebound at both ends of the court. If Duke rebounds the ball better than Carolina, that could get messy, especially at Cameron. Although, I think we saw last night.
Not good.
Okay.
Not good.
I just allow for the rivalry, like the rivalry mystique to kind of set in. I've seen worse Carolina teams than this win that game.
Yes.
But
yes.
I don't. I agree with you. Duke is built on defense, and if they defend and rebound, they'll win the game, even if they don't play good offense. Konata Edwards, I know you and Gary and Matt will discuss this, I'm sure, in the Eye on College Basketball podcast. You are a gentleman, a scholar. I say that not really knowing. At Not a Describe on Twitter. I appreciate your time, my friend.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got to talk again. We will be talking about this actually tomorrow morning, probably.
Oh, look at that. All right, sir. I'll talk to you.
Talk to you soon.
Peace.